everybody! Welcome to Meet the Maker Wednesday. Hope you're all really well and lockdown life is treating you okay. We thought we'd launch a digital program for May, and as part of that we would have these weekly sessions on Wednesdays to meet a different member of the team and a different collaborator that we've worked with at Tessa Bide Productions. I'm kicking things off because it was my idea and I have to do it first to be thrown under the bus. Haha. I when I was growing up, I didn't know what a theatre maker was. I didn't know that that was a job. And quite often when we go into schools and we do our outreach stuff, when we do our workshops, children really want to know what being a designer is, what being a theatre maker is, what does a dramaturg do. You know, all these, there's so many careers and so many different jobs and so many different people that go into making a production. Why don't we spend this time in lockdown meeting some and finding a little bit about what those jobs involve and asking questions about it in case you might want to be one of those jobs when you're older or when you're out of lockdown. We've all got time to think about it now. So I'm kicking things off today, and if you have a question about anything that I'm saying, then type it in the little chat bar and I can read it just here, so I can see your questions as they come up. So any point during my little chat, pop that up and then we'll have a little kind of Q&A thing at the end. Great! I've made notes because I'm a geek and I like to be organised. But as you know, I'm a theatre maker and I'm also a part-time sports massage therapist. But that's neither here nor there. I'll be talking about the theatre maker thing here. I'm going to be doing this in 3 different parts. So how I came about doing this as my job, what it involves, and then just throwing it open to you guys to ask any questions that you might have. So a lot of people ask, like, how did you start off in this, and did you always want to be a performer and things? And yeah, I definitely, I started doing drama when I was really young, and I used to do the youth club and things. I've even dug out this photo of me in The Selfish Giant in primary school when I was, I think 11. There I am as the Snow Queen, looking hella angry that I'm not centre stage. Who knew I would make The Selfish Giant as an adult about 15 years later? So yeah, I used to do youth productions. I was in my little town, Bridport, Bridport operatic workshops, which did like Little Shop of Horrors and things like that. I saw Chicago at a very impressionable young age, and I thought I wanted to do musical theatre. So I started dance, and I really love dance. Here's a picture of me in a promo shot for a youth dance show. Not really doing much dancing, just wearing no shoes on the beach. And it was at Christmas, so very, very cold. But yeah, I used to do lots of youth dance. And I thought I used to want to do musical theatre. And then I found out about devising and making your own shows up. So instead of just getting a script and going, okay, this is the words that I say, this is the order in which I do them, let's do it like, you know, most other productions of that show have done. Instead, you can make up your whole new show. So I love doing devising, and I auditioned for drama schools and I didn't get into a single one of them. Thanks, RADA. I auditioned 2 years in a row and got about 6,000 rejections. And luckily, I was living in Bridport and there was a theatre company based in our little town called Stuff and Nonsense, and I'd been doing some work experience with them for quite some time, and they kind of took me up as a full-time member of the team. So I was doing producing, I was managing their venue that they had in Bridport with Nikki McCretton, and performing in their shows. So I got this kind of like all-round apprenticeship in theatre, producing, venue management and performing, and that kind of set me up really. So in 2012 I left Bridport to come to Bristol to set up my own company, and I'd been writing this story for quite some time that I wanted to make into a show. It was the Tap Dancing Mermaid, and I was writing it as a kind of children's book manuscript, and then I decided to make it into a show. So I tend to follow a kind of schedule, like pattern for when I make a show. I kind of break it into different stages. So I start by having an idea, and then I tell people about it, and I try and get some support on board for developing it from charities, or like we had a charity partner called SIBS for Perfect, one called Integrate UK for A Strange New Space, and we had a partner called Seven Stories, which is the National Centre for Children's Literature in Newcastle, for the Anarchist Mobile Library. So I tell people about it. I try and make it sound really cool and exciting, probably because it is, and then I try and get their support. And then when I've got all that support, I apply for funding, normally from the Arts Council England, to do an R&D of it. So an R&D is like a research and development phase. It's like the early stage where you test out your ideas and you see if they're any good. So we'll do that, we'll test them out, we'll take some pictures and some videos, and then get some feedback from the audience to know whether we're on the right track or not. And then we can use that to then plan the development of the show. But before we apply for funding for that, we've got to book a tour, which is a mad time because you don't actually have a show, but you're persuading programmers that you do, or you will have this really amazing show, but you can't tell them exactly what's in it because you haven't actually made it yet. So you sell this thing that doesn't exist, and then you get funding to develop it and then tour it. And that's kind of the rhythm that I tend to do from show to show. So in a nutshell, my job involves a hell of a lot of admin. I'm writing funding applications, normally about 2 a year, but in 2018 I think we did 4, which was mad. I'm doing budgeting, love a spreadsheet, emailing lots of venues and partners and charities and things. I'm doing marketing, which means selling tickets and keeping you guys interested, and I'm choosing the best team for each production. I've got an amazing producing team that help me with all this admin stuff. I've got a co-producer called Alice Massey, I've got a consultant producer called Helen Edwards, and an intern producer called Holly Bond. So yeah, they help me with all that side of things. Could not do it without them. And then I have collaborators that I work with quite regularly on different shows. So there's an amazing composer, sound designer called Matt Huxley, who he did the theme tune to, in the holding page a minute ago, he did that piece of music. I'm going to play it at the end as well. That was from A Strange New Space, and still gets me bopping, even though I've heard it probably about 500 times. So yeah, and then I get to devise the thing and I get to tour it. So it's a really vast job. It's got loads of different parts to it, and that's kind of why I love it. Just to have a quick check on the comments. Hi everyone. Thanks for saying hi. Hey Laura. Hey Soph. Great. So I thought I'd do a whistle-stop tour through the world of TBP and show you some snippets of our shows. There's 8 shows, so I've kept it to like 20 seconds per show, and it's about 5 minutes long. So you'll have a little clip of each one, and I'm going to tell you some stuff about it and what happened and what it was like to make it. And then I promise you, I'll shush very soon. All right. Let's go! So, as you know, the first show was the Tap Dancing Mermaid. This was my first show, and the challenge from it was to make a solo show on very little budget. It premiered at the Wardrobe Theatre in Bristol when it was above a pub, and then it went to Glastonbury and then got some funding. And then I toured it for years, from 2013 to 2016, including a run at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I self-published the book of it, which I'm reading every night this week. Next up, shortly after that, was this show called Arnold's Big Adventure. The challenge with this one was to make a site-specific, fully interactive show that takes the art out of theatres and plops it in a field somewhere. We put it in this custom-made bell tent, and it follows the journey of this acorn called Arnold on his drop day. And it had this environmental theme because his journey follows a plastic bag on the same journey, and we see what plastic does in our oceans. It had a poo stick race. Yes, it did. And synchronised swimming. I made it with the actor Natalie Codsey and a team of really great other people, and it toured from 2013 to 2016. And we got to take it to loads of weird places. We got to go to festivals and village halls and rural touring, and it felt like a really nice egalitarian way of making theatre and getting it out there to the masses. Next up was the Melody Makers. I like to challenge myself with each show, and this challenge was to make an ensemble show with 4 actors and do all the sound and music live. It was a Christmassy story about the journey of a child called Pip Christmas, who has to persuade the Melody Makers to bring back Christmas music. I was mega ambitious with this and pretty naive. I didn't make any money, and I don't think I could even pay myself. But I was really proud of the design. As you can see, everything that was made of musical instruments or musical boxes, and it was just a really, really gorgeous aesthetically. Sarah Dix designed it, and there were some really silly puppets like that guy as well. And a pyrotechnic robin. What more could you want at Christmas? A Strange New Space. I gave myself more time to develop this one. I had a year and a half from idea to premiere. And it was about a child refugee's journey told through the metaphor of a space adventure. The challenge of it was to make a non-verbal show that I could tour internationally. And I researched it by going to refugee camps in Greece and meeting loads of kids out there. I took it to the Edinburgh Fringe in 2017 and then toured it so much. It went all around the UK, went to India, went to the Netherlands. I performed it over 100 times in its first year. And I got to really work on my physical theatre skills for that one. Next up was Perfect. Perfect's challenge was to adapt a book. So not something I had thought up myself. It was and to use video and projection. I really loved working with the author, Nicola Davies, and with the illustrations from the book by Kathy Fisher on this one. The projections were just so gorgeous, and it was a really new way of working. Plus, it bagged us a Guardian review. Way! It was really interesting to be the supporting actor for the first time as well. Alina Hallam was the star, and she was just so great. Woohoo! The Selfish Giant. Whew, this is stressful. The challenge of this one was a co-production, so I made it with Soap Soup Theatre, and I thought that it would be half the workload. Turned out, very much not. But it was our first proper kind of 48 show Christmas run at the Omnibus in London, and we sold over 3,000 tickets, which was awesome, and then it went on a nationwide tour with a new cast last year. It is our most successful show to date, and got to use really beautiful puppets on it. Tamil, the Anarchist Mobile Library. So this is one of our newer shows. The challenge with this was to make a show in a caravan with a very tiny audience. I won the caravan in a commissioning opportunity by the campsite, and then I developed the idea at a residency at 7 Stories, our partner, with Alina Hallam. And it's totally bonkers. The children are in charge of the narrative and what happens. They pick where we go and what happens. And last year I made and performed it with Jess Clough McRae. And it premiered. This video was taken at the Boyne Festival in Canterbury. And it was supposed to be touring all year this year with Peter Moritz and Lucy Harrington, but we're having to postpone. Last one, I promise. Bob. Now the challenge with this one was to produce somebody else's baby. In 2017, the director, Amy Draper, came up to me and asked if I'd produce a show that she'd started working on at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I said yes. It explores loss and grief for young audiences using this amazing new technology called Mimu gloves, which you're about to see in a sec. They create this character. There they are. There's the Mimus. They create the character of Bob, which is like an animated blob of light by our puppeteer Aaron Glass there. And it's been really interesting to produce a show that wasn't my idea, using with this really amazing creative team. So we did an R&D stage this year at Bristol Old Vic's Ferment Fortnight, and got some really great feedback. And then the plan for that one is to develop and tour it next year. Hooray! We've made it! There's Bob. Aha, I'm back. Oh, I don't know about you, but I am sweating. That was full on. I hope you're all catching up. I've seen some questions coming in already. Hooray! I'll just finish up by saying thank you for sitting through all that. Feels mega self-indulgent. Hope it's interesting. And just to say, as well as working on my TBP stuff, I also work as an actor and a producer for other theatre companies. So this Christmas, I went to Southampton and I was in Wow Said the Owl by The Little Angel, who are an amazing, very established puppet theatre company in London. And I do like producing consultancy for companies as well, so I help them get funding and book tours and stuff as well. So I have my TBP hat, but then I also have other hats as well. And that is my life. Thanks so much for sitting through it. Over to you now. Type in the chat if you've got any questions, and I'm going to see what is up there right now. Thanks for turning up. What's the best advice you can give to someone who wants to get into theatre? P.S. Love your shows. Thanks, Alex. I'd say the best advice for someone who wants to get into theatre is to watch loads of theatre. It sounds a bit crazy, but I had a theatre company approach me for consultancy, and they wanted it was one artist, and she wanted to make a show, and I was like, okay, what kind of style do you think you want to make it in? What kind of audience do you want to make it for? Where do you want to present it? And she hadn't thought about any of these things. And the only way that you can really get an idea of that is just by seeing loads of shows, and ideally by talking to theatre companies and talking to actors and artists and makers and directors, just to see how best your ideas might be placed within the industry, and to get ideas. Loads of ideas are just nicked off other people's ideas, and then you change them a little bit and then you make them your own, and that's how things grow and develop. It's not copying, it's a form of complementing, I reckon. Hope that's a good answer. What's your favourite show of all the ones you've worked on? Ooh la la. Probably A Strange New Space, because it was mega indulgent. I was the only actor. We had the same budget to make that show that we had to make the Melody Makers, to make all of them. We got the same budget from the Arts Council. So I had like a team of 8 people all working on the show with just me in it. I had 2 movement directors, one Laura Street and Bryn Thomas, and I've always wanted to get a really good grounding in physical theatre, and that was the perfect opportunity to do that, because I had these 2 movement directors who would just work with me on like scene by scene, like frame by frame almost, kind of working through how to tell the story with my body instead of words. I like a chat, but now I don't feel like I have to rely on that. And I've kind of, I meant to say at the start, I've kind of curated my own training through each show. I've given myself a challenge, like do this non-verbally, do this with an ensemble, do this in a caravan, do this, in loads of different ways. And I've tried to kind of give myself a really broad training myself, because I didn't go to uni or drama school. And I think that one, I just learnt so much from working with that massive team. And it was an honour to go to Greece and talk to refugees about it and get the idea that way as well. So yeah, it's got a really special place in my heart, does A Strange New Space. Thanks for the question. We've got, have you got no new show coming out for 2020? Well, hopefully, yes. We were planning on making Bob next year in 2020. And also, we've got a brand new show that I didn't actually mention in the whip round, because you guys have got things to do, called The Magic Snow Globe. We've got an image for it at the moment. We've got a poster image, and I've written the story, but we haven't started devising it yet. So I'm really hoping that that's going to get picked up by a theatre for Christmas next year, when theatres reopen and we can see our friends again. Question: what's your favourite bit about making theatre? Is getting the first idea of a thing. Just getting that little idea, like, oh, I can make a show about a child refugee. Oh, and with a space adventure, yes. The day that I came up with the title, The Anarchist Mobile Library, and figured out what that was going to be, was like, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, really satisfying and fun. How do you find acting in other productions that aren't your own when you're used to running them yourself? Which is more fulfilling? That is a great question, Amy Wallace. I love working in productions that aren't my own. I love it. I love both of them. And I probably find it more fulfilling when I do my own work, because I come up with the idea and I get to see it all the way to fruition, and I'm in control. And as those of you who know me know, I'm a massive control freak. So I like that about that, but I just love how creative I can be on other people's shows, because I don't have all that stress and I don't have my producer hat on. Sometimes it's quite hard to be creative in the devising room when you're like, oh, I've got an idea, and then the producer's like, that's ridiculous, it'll cost £50,000. And you're like, okay, right, sorry. Oh, I've got another idea. No, that's stupid, you'll need live penguins. It's quite hard when you've got both brains happening, whereas when I'm an actor or a deviser in somebody else's show, I don't have to have the producer hat, so I can be as creative as I like. And there's slightly less pressure, I think. So yeah, I really love working on other people's shows. If any of you casting directors are out there, I'm available. Thanks so much. Love the challenges in all the shows. Thanks. Do you think you would ever make theatre for adults? Yeah, definitely. I never really started out with the idea of just making shows for children. It just happened that all of the ideas that I was having were kind of appropriate for young audiences. And we could have made some of them for adult audiences, like A Strange New Space we could have made for adult audiences, or Bob could have been for adult audiences, but I really love, I've just really loved making children's shows. A few years ago I set up a sister company with two really good friends of mine, Tomasin, Cuthbert and Liz Hart. It was called Lady Strong's Bonfire, and it's still there. It's kind of underground whilst we've got other projects on the go. Tomasin's just had a baby, but we made a show called The Bed, and this was our image for the bed that I now have on my wall to remind me. And that was a show for adults. It was a show about a woman's life seen from her bed, and we played with kind of female archetypes, and it was just a really juicy, sumptuous research process into it. And yeah, I definitely don't think I'm done with making shows for adults. But I kind of figure that hopefully I'll have a long career. Touch wood, touch all the wood. And if I'm not getting burning ideas and burning kind of urges to make those adult shows right now, no stress. Maybe that will come to me later. But maybe I'm just quite childish at heart at the moment, so still loving making children's stories and children's shows. Hope that answers that. I'm going to be winding down now, so I'll take a couple more questions if anyone's got any burning questions left. Got one here. What's your next challenge going to be in a show rather than staying sane during lockdown? That is a challenge, let's be real. The next challenge, I mean, making Bob is a huge challenge because no one's used the Mimu gloves, that technology, in theatre shows before. So we're pretty much pioneering that whole technology. And if any of you saw my Facebook Live chapter 1 of the Tap Dancing Mermaid on Monday, y'all know that I'm technically fairly challenged. Even just getting this guy up here took me about 10 minutes. And what does it do? It just reminds me what my name is. Tessa Bide. So yeah, Bob is a big challenge, using the tech like that. And then we've got the Magic Snow Globe. The Magic Snow Globe, I want to explore projection and work with a more diverse cast. So that's going to be the next adventure. After that, it's all to play for. Made a show in a caravan, made one in a tent. What's next? Maybe you guys should tell me. Right. I think that's all my questions, unless anybody's got anything that they want to ping my way before we shut down. I wanted to just tell you a little bit about what we've got coming up on these Maker Wednesdays. We've got some really amazing people. Next week we have Stephanie DeWally, who is a performer. Steph was the Tap Dancing Mermaid 2 when we, for a while, I kind of rented the show out to this other production company called Pigtails Productions, and they toured it for a season in 2017, and Steph was the actor in it, which was amazing. It was the first time I had ever recast one of my shows with a new actor, and I was kind of terrified, and then it turned out to be amazing, and she is incredible. She was also in the original R&D of Perfect, and now she tours in massive shows. She was just about to be in a show by the play that goes wrong, but it's like the magic show that goes wrong. It's like magicians going wrong on the West End. So she was just about to be in that when the lockdown happened. And she's been in We're Going on a Bear Hunt, some really massive shows. So she's going to be in our Meet the Maker next week. Then a little overview of who we've got coming up. We've got Leoned, who is one of my amazing designers, who designed Perfect and designed the Anarchist mobile library. She's a duolingual Welsh designer. Incredible. We've got Peter Moritz the week after, who's an actor who was supposed to be in the Anarchist mobile library this summer. She tours all over the country. She was in The Borrowers by Tobacco Factory, their Christmas show. A couple of years ago. She's got a couple of companies of her own. Then we've got Alina Hallam the week after, who is a performer in Perfect. We've got Nina Dunn, who's an amazing projection artist. She came up with the technology for Bob. She's worked all over the world, doing amazing video and projection design. And the week after that, we've got Georgie Shire, who's a prop maker and set builder. She's made Melody Makers, Selfish Giant, Anarchist, bits for the Anarchist mobile library, and yeah, she's made most of our sets basically, and she's a really incredible maker. Loads of women. I love women. Sorry guys, I do employ you as well, but so far none of them have signed up for this despite me paying them. Weird, maybe they're shy. So anyway, loads of badass women for you guys to enjoy. A show on a boat. That is a good idea. Thank you for that. I'm going to be signing off for in a sec, but just to remind you, this is what we've got coming up in May, this so every night this week, I'm doing a reading of the Tap Dancing Mermaid, chapter by chapter. Tonight is chapter 3, just in case you're not sick of me, another live program in the same day. It's a very short chapter, so we'll be done in like 5 minutes. That's at 6:30. Then I've got these Meet the Teams happening on Wednesday over here, Mirror. And then we've got puppetry workshops. So puppet making, we've got puppet manipulation, object manipulation, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be releasing those as well. And at the end of the month, on the 25th, we're going to be doing an online streaming release of Perfect. We've still got the Selfish Giant streaming, so if you want to find that, then just scroll down our page. It's on Eventbrite. We've extended that for another couple of weeks, and we've had really great feedback from that. So thanks if you've already watched that. Finally, I just wanted to say that if you've been enjoying any of this digital content, then please do consider donating to our Buy Me a Coffee fund. All of our gigs have been pulled for the rest of the year, and we don't have any other funding. So we're doing all this free content in the hope that we'll get a few donations and to keep you guys entertained during lockdown. So in a sec, I'm going to show a slide that has a little QR code, and we'll be sharing the link as well. So anything you can donate, amazing. If not, no wazzers. I'll see you again at 6:30 for the Tap Dancing Mermaid. Thank you so much. Big love to you all out there. Let's get this final screen up. Bye.